Welcome back. It's Monday, August 3rd. It's 11 p.m. here in Champaign, Illinois. You're watching Call for Two. You're joining me for session number 2 of Arcadia Tenebra, a very rare, out-of-print, odd game from Croatia. Could we call this a controversial game? Maybe that would be going too far. It's a game that was only printed in a small print run through Kickstarter, missed its first Kickstarter, funded on its second, and had a couple of reviewers. Well, one famous YouTube reviewer, Lance the Undead Viking, called it like one of the most exciting games he's ever played. And he's a role-playing game person, and there are clear ties to from this game to the role-playing community. Like, the game encourages you to role-play it, but it is a board game. A more trustworthy, reputable source on YouTube is the Dungeon Dive, which called this a valuable... No, called it a flawed gem, something like that. And I think that may be closer to the opinion we have formed after one playthrough and a long session going through the box. But our playthrough last week was not entirely pleasant. I mean, I wouldn't say it was unpleasant, but it was not entirely satisfying. There are some very strange things happening in this game. But I like the idea of playing strange games. The bigger problem was the combat was very fiddly and just felt like playing the game of war with cards with lots of rolling dice. Our last playthrough was sort of like easy, just rolling dice for combat. Then we got to the end and we got destroyed before we even had a chance. It felt very weirdly paced. But we decided to play at least once more before we give up on this. And so we're going to try to do things differently. We're going to play fast and loose with the rules, I think. And we're going to try a different approach. Most importantly, I think I'm going to try to streamline the combat. Maybe even to the extent of simply looking at an enemy and deciding that we're going to just kill it and have lost 2 hit points or whatever. We are going to try, I think we've agreed, Jonathan Warner, who is my partner here for most of these games, we have decided, I think, to play with a different character. So in our first playthrough, we chose this detective, this alcoholic detective with high intelligence, as the closest character to our play style. But I think in an effort to explore different areas of this game, and I think that's what we should do. We should purposely try to play a game where we do things differently. I think we should try to take someone, we're certainly not going to take someone who likes to fight, but we're going to take someone who is more focused on charisma. And in fact, it feels to me, this is the androgynous character that can sort of shift back and forth between a woman and a boy. This one doesn't appeal, but I thought this is the guy who's super smart and not much of a fighter, so that would be a reasonable person to take. But I think we should try a charisma path. And I think this is the guy who likes fighting. Look at that, 18 strength. I think this is the character for us. And I think she's sort of front and center of this box. There are some adult scenes in this game, but this seems like the charisma person. And she's not much of a fighter, so that seems like that might be the way we go. In fact, everyone else has fairly low charisma except for the vampiress. So I think either of these would be good, but I'm thinking this one. Let's look at the two abilities here. Let's look at the two special abilities. She's too beautiful to be real. Opponents get -1 attack and -2 rolls. So people do not like fighting her. That sounds like what we want. She's sensitive. She won't use rifles or guns. She's a seductress. At the beginning of combat, you can bewitch everyone by dancing, inflicting 4 damage. She's got... We're not allowed to use splash damage to hurt multiple enemies if our charisma drops below 10, which is why this is colored differently. She's not that smart. She's not that strong, but she has high charisma. So I think this is probably the character for us. But let's take a look at this vampiress woman. You never smile and speak only when necessary. Kindness and smiles are something you reserve for animals and children. Okay, once per combat you can heal. You've got a hornet swarm. Once per combat, if you didn't summon Stone Shield, you can invoke a swarm of extraordinarily large hornets, which will inflict 2 damage. A special kind of damage to certain people who have certain weaknesses and -1 attack splash. She's also got a Stone Shield ability. Once per combat, you can protect yourself with the shield made of stones, which absorbs all damage from the next 3 hits, including critical hit and critical miss. And because we are Mother Nature's daughter, we don't use any weapons except any metal weapons except Tesla. Let's see, she's got a hardness of 10, very similar to this woman, meaning she's not that hard to hit. Same power. She's a little smarter and a little less charisma. Okay, I think it's clear. This is the person we're going to take. Dancing does twice as much damage as a hornet swarm says the channel. Now, this game comes with horrible markers that would never survive my clumsiness, but I have printed off some 3D pieces for us. And in fact, this one looks too small. Let me see if this, I guess they're a little bit uneven, but this is going to work better. Okay. So I have printed 3D tray that and some 3D markers that makes it easier for us to keep track of stats. Shall we look at let's read her lore. Dilara Tilki. She's Turkish. She who delights the heart. Dilara meaning she who delights the heart, and Tilki meaning fox. Your kidnappers, the Janissaries, fought to the death for the honor of handing you to the Sultan. As for the Sultan, the moment he laid his eyes on you, he realized the danger you present. Therefore he hid you in the harem's deepest chambers, allowing only his wives and mute maids to visit you. Before long, all of these women came to worship you. Their enchantment was brought to Sultan's attention. On your 17th birthday, he invited you to his bedroom, and that was his ruin. Soon you were set free and showered with generous gifts. These 3 days after you left, the Sultan hanged himself. Your supernatural beauty, your inexhaustible grace, and your melodious speech tame even the wildest of beasts. Each and every heart of steel and stone melts in your presence. People beg to serve you, an opportunity you always use to your own advantage of any kind. appearance. There's absolutely nothing to add or take away from either your body or your face. If there is such a thing as the perfect beauty, your physical appearance comes dangerously close to it. As for personality, early on you've learned how to use others' reactive emotional patterns to get what you want. Still, in a twist of fate, your outstanding emotional intelligence never touched your heart. You are living proof that emotional intelligence does not equal empathy. You can come across as the most endearing creature only to become a merciless executioner in the very next moment. Whatever you do, human hearts either melt or break. The only thing that can touch you is the clear, starry night sky. Yet you cannot stare at the vault of heaven long because you feel as if it pours into your chest, into your very soul, and that, if you do not look away, you will explode into nothing. As to your other preferences, you love to dance around massive columns, huge trees, polished bars, and stoics. Religion and spirituality. During your harem days, you converted to Islam, studied the Quran, and learned many holy books' paragraphs by heart, and yet your relation to the Almighty remained rather sketchy. While you were a slave, you prayed and prostrated every day, a practice which you abandoned the moment you were set free. These days you have no more time slots for the Almighty, since now you are totally occupied with provoking sighs and bending the emotional space around you. Though from time to time you feel the stars calling upon you. Okay. All right, let's set our stats here. Wonder if I can maybe move this down a bit. Okay. She's got 2 attacks. She's got, everyone starts with a baseline roll of 0. Her hardness is 10. Her damage she does per attack is 1. Power, which is like health, is at 11. Intelligence 13, not so bad. Charisma all the way up at 17. Normally you would put quest cards here, backpack here, clues, consumables, and then weapons, garments, and trinkets, but we're just going to put them in these card holders here. You're only allowed to have one of each type. Other than that, it doesn't really matter where it goes. You can see our map of the land of Arcadia. We start ourselves in the center. Where are we? All right, let's get the stuff that we don't need out of our way. Creatures, we might have need of that. Here is our time tracker. For each turn, the blood red moon comes out. Remember that the story, well, we're going to skim over the story again, I guess, so we'll see that in a minute. I will be using stickers to keep track of which spaces we explore. Let us recall our first session. In our first session, we explored down here and over, I think, to the left to the hamlet. But we did eventually have to go. We had our final confrontation here, which looks like that's where the final confrontation ends for most scenarios. And it's these red things which are boss fights. So we had some encounter here, and then we had to go here for a second encounter, and this was the finale. And it feels like they might all have that flavor. needing to go to these three red places, so we may need to explore to there. We never went to the brothel. We did have to go to the laboratory. I don't think we did Wolf's Trail much. I don't think we went to the old cemetery. We didn't go to the spring. We may have gone to the stone circle. We did have to go down here. I guess there were 4 places we had to go. Here, 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 and then here. So we may want to try to go to some other places and make some different choices. Is there anything else we have to discuss before we start going? I wanted to talk about the Odyssey a little bit. I went and saw the Odyssey today, and I really did not care for it. In general, these big blockbuster movies, I just find them, they leave me flat. Like, I can't enjoy the pageantry of spending, $100 million to film the movie it feels like all subtlety goes out the window. It's all about the spectacle of filming these giant scenes. And I feel like it's so hard for them to film it. It's such like an accomplishment to film it that's their only goal, is to actually film it. They're not worried about making good movies anymore. They're just worried about making a difficult movie to make. And there was just nothing. It left me completely unmoved. Acting was okay, not great, not terrible, but I just felt like a real waste. And when I come out of that movie, all I can think of is all of the little indie movies, small, mumblecore, low-budget movies that feel like someone poured their heart into making a movie and thought so hard about every shot and had been planning these shots for weeks, thinking about refining the dialogue and the script. And it feels like for these movies, for like the Odyssey, I didn't even feel like they took a second pass at the dialogue. Like, Christopher Nolan has got this amazing reputation. I feel like he didn't even care. Like, who cares what the dialogue is? It's really about me shooting in IMAX this big giant scene. And all the scenes are dark. I just don't quite get it. I don't quite get the whole motive for making these movies. Like, do you really care? Do you care about making the Odyssey? Is this a passion project for you? Or do you just run the numbers and think that the Odyssey would be an interesting challenge? And I just don't get it. All right. Not a single good scene in that movie, actually, from my perspective. I'm sure there are people that are in there that see some giant mythical creature or something and say that's a great scene. But for me, it's just a yawn through all of that. Whereas if you compare that to, like, there are a couple, like, think about the movie. What was the other Greek mythological movie about Achilles and Helen of Troy? Was it called Troy, with Brad Pitt? And like, that movie had some amazing scenes. Brad Pitt was great in it, and all of the scenes, the fighting scenes were so well done. And there were scenes in that movie where you're like, what just happened? In this one, none of it. All right. It's crazy how we can be moved by the storylines of mystery games, and then $100 million movie can't evoke the drama we find in some of these games. That is absolutely true. Okay. Oh yeah, we didn't save Tesla on our first playthrough. All right, so here is the introduction. You read this every time you play it. This was another sort of miss about this game. It's sort of a narrative game with lots of storytelling, but it feels like you would get the same story, big beats of story, no matter how many times you played it, which makes it very hard to imagine replaying it. But anyway, we're told by Tesla he's working on some inventions. We could come visit him if you want to try to get some. But he says, oh yeah, there's the serial killer, and we're going to try to solve the serial killer murder on our way. All right, so we're setting up. We set up our character. We have our D20. We remember that this game is in two parts. The first part is finding 3 different clues. There's 2 ways to trigger the first part. One is to find 3 different clues, bring them to the chief of police. The other way is to find 3 clues of a set, and that will trigger its own second act. So it might be nice for us to do that, since that's not what we did last time. Okay, you don't have to read all the flavor text if you don't want. If you get yourself into a situation that's confusing, just role play it. And in fact, if you role play on any check, you give yourself +5. So we're going to do that. We're going to feel free on this playthrough to really give ourselves the benefit of the doubt to have a fun story. Okay, and then a reminder of the rules. You move, you do your action, and then you resolve any lucky stuff you got. Equip, trade, reset your characteristics. I feel like the resetting is the one thing we might not have done 100% right. It's a little weird. Okay, these are just rules about moving. I don't think we need to go through the rules again. Combat tests, attribute tests. No, we don't need to do that. We just need to remind ourselves. It basically just says to read the first lead, but let me just see. Stop the murderer in 20 turns. Remember, we can only move by lines. Okay, set up and start. Here we go. So we initialized our stuff. We set ourselves to the first turn. We have our D20. And then we read the intro on page 3. Oh, and you get a lucky to start the game. Okay. All right, here's our intro, which is the same no matter what game you play. Maybe we'll skip this since I won't read it again since we've read it again. But basically, we are stuck in this hotel, more of a big village than a proper town, awakened last night by the screams and curses of a local woman screaming for a husband, threatening to burn his damn whorehouse down. That wasn't enough. You've also learned that yesterday's military patrol never returned. Some locals went missing. Sheep keep disappearing far more than usual. Your gut feeling is something's not quite right. As if the huge Mount Bedem, which separates Arcadia Tenebra from the sea, keeps growing bigger and darker. Everyone seems to be tense. It's not because of the fragile truce with the Turks. There's something else at work here. It evades you. It haunts you. You feel like you're swaying on the borders between sanity and insanity. So summer is gone, and the hotel concierge hands you the official invitation letter from the police chief Mainerick. That's the guy who's wants us to help him solve the mystery, and here he is. I need your help. I'm heading nowhere, these dumb gendarmes of mine. I'll mark your map with all the locations you may search for answers. You choose where to go and the order you want to go them to. But he says maybe the best way is to start with the innkeeper of Wolf's Head here in the city. So he's talking about this area here, the Wolf's Head. So we could read those to talk to that person if we wanted to. If I can switch better between screens. So he's saying maybe that's the best way to start, and that's what we did last time. And he says, but he's my brother. We're not talking. Don't tell him I sent you. Tessel's laboratory is to the north. He might know a thing or two. He's a weirdo. To the west is the hamlet. That's where Tessel's father is. That's the priest. To the south is the sawmill. We went there too. We had a little side mission that I don't think we actually followed through in. To the east is the other city. These are all these places here. The east is the other city. There's the sawmill. Porterich. There's the hamlet with the preacher. There's Tesla's laboratory. To the northeast is the brothel. We never went there. It's pretty far away. It's pretty dangerous to go there. It says, beware, as on your way you may encounter Venetians, imperial agents, janissaries, or uskuks, Slavic freedom fighters who believe the only good strangers are those that are dead. You can see these two mean these are dangerous creatures here. There's there's the Mount Perun with the dangerous stuff there. He says, return after you got some info. We'll proceed on from there. So that's the normal way you trigger Act 2. He opens up a closet and he gives us something. Let's see what he's giving us here. Magical dust. Come here, child. The old Gianna will reveal your fate. The old woman wails, taking your palm. Instantly her face grows serious. Gently caressing your palm, she pulls your fingers together and gives you a merciful look. Blood, my child, blood. There's a lot of blood on your path, both yours and others. Your path is arduous. Reaching into her long skirt's creases, she pulls out a leather pouch. When your spirits are down, sniff some of this dust, and it may save your life. So this is a consumable, a one-time consumable. It gives you +5 power. You can snort it. +10 power if you demonstrate sniffing convincing enough. Other players will rate your performance and decide how much extra power you've earned. Okay, so that's one of these little role-playing things. Okay, a consumable, so we can drink that, eat that when we, sniff that when we need to. Okay, and then here is our quest, help with the investigation, gain 3 clues, you can collect more if you want, and go back to him. And then here's a little reminder of the places where we can get clues, which are just the places with the magnifying glasses, which are all over the place. And that's it. It's up to us now to explore. So last time we went into the Wolf's Head, I wonder if we shouldn't try to do things differently this time. I mean, there is a clue right there. That's I mean, it seems like while we're here, we should be getting that clue. But maybe we could do a side mission differently. But surely we want to do this while we're here. In fact, we must. Well, it's not that we must. It's that the way you travel on this map is by exploring tiles. And a reminder, if a tile has no magnifying glass, you can explore it by having an encounter. But a tile with the magnifying glass is a location, and the only way to mark this tile as explored and be able to do actions on it and travel through it is to have an encounter, is to get a clue. So I think we need to do this. We're going to do this, page 5. It seems like we have to, because we're going to need to be able to come through this city and we need the clues. So page 5, we just turn to here and read the Wolf's Head. So I'm afraid we have to do this. But maybe we could do... I guess these are the same thing. So the wolf's head is the brother, and it's telling us a little bit about it. We read this all before. Small closed windows protected with crossed iron bars, pubs full of dense smoke, rolled tobacco. Nobody pays attention. You approach the bar. The bartender is a sulky short man with a huge mustache. You presume this is the innkeeper, Maynarick, brother of the police chief. Okay, Wolf's Head is his too. This is where he spends all of his time, practically never leaving the place. He knows more about the outer world than anyone else. Alcohol loosens up tongues, making people yearn for an attentive ear. He's more than just a good listener. He uses his fat, hairy forearms to wipe tables. His guests do not mind. Okay, you're eager to ask him a question or two about the murders, but maybe it would be better to first order something to drink. What are you going to do? So here we have before. We can plus our charisma, plus our intelligence, or skip it and just do one of these things. This is a weird choice that has, it makes no sense. No matter what you do, you go down to here. These don't matter. These are different tests based on your ability. Why wouldn't you do this? I don't know. Okay, but we're going to do charisma. So we're going to order a Black Queen Dark Ale, which gives us a +1 charisma test. And now we do this. And she says, Maina, my man, pleased to meet ya. I heard some locals went missing and I want to help. Care to tell me what's the word round the city? So now we do a charisma test of 12. To remind you how that works, when you do a attribute test, you look at the 12, you look at your value, which is 17. So we're better than the 12 by 5. So we roll a die. We have to get a 12, but we add 5 in our favor. Plus, we're going to add 1. So we're really adding 6 to this. Okay, it's a 2. So we add 6, we get 8. But then we're going to give ourselves the role playing because I read the voice and give ourselves a +5, which is the rule. Now, if we didn't do that, we would just do it again and it would waste a turn. Oh yeah, that is a critical. Oh, we get 2 rolls. We get 2 rolls. I keep forgetting about it. All right, let's roll again. Okay, that's a 9. So a 9 plus 6 is a 15. That's a success. You're allowed 2 rolls. Okay. You forgot that this time, Jonathan. You normally remember. But if we had failed it, we would just done it again. Okay. The innkeeper looks at you askance and lowers his voice. You already know. Everyone says these victims were slaughtered by wolves, but that's bullshit. If any wolves had anything to do with the murders, they're not ordinary wolves, but ones who are hairy on the inside. We keep hearing about these hairy on the inside wolves. Locals believe the big evil leaves at Mount Perrin and is now descending towards us. You may be sure it's not the Turks, for this is something much worse. I can feel it too. Pay a visit to Orthodox priest in Hamlet. He's the wisest priest when it comes to both locals and wolves hairy from the inside. That's my 2 cents. Now take this. I believe it's somehow connected with your investigation. On the night the Hodorich kid was butchered, a creepy-looking man appeared here. I've never seen him before, though he looked familiar, as if I met him in my bad dreams. He just sat in the corner, didn't speak to me or anybody else, and didn't order a thing. I didn't have the guts to ask him if he wants something. When he left, I found this under his chair. So we can do the Be Popular, and we can do this right-hand man mission. So Be Popular is a new action available. We can pay one of our luckies to gain +3 charisma, and it's stackable. So I think we should do that. Let's get our charisma maxed out to the very max. So we're at 17. We're going to do it +3. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to plus our charisma all the way up to 20. And we're going to give them this magical dust. That's what we're going to pay for. This that we're paying for goes into the shop where we could rebuy it if we wanted to. So I'll just put this off to the side. That charisma is going to help us pass any charisma test. Now, a favor, the right-hand man. This is a little quest he's giving us, or a favor we can do. Listen, there are many things that need to be done. Can't do them all on my own. Plus, I don't like to leave this place. You'll be paid well, don't worry. And I'll help you with the investigation, of course. If you want to do a favor, you can start a quest line right-hand man. If you don't want to do a favor, you can search for other clues in these other locations. Okay, we never for sure figured out whether this was an and or, but here is a quest we could do. Now, where is our clue? When he left, I found this clue under his chair. He gives us a clue, but why doesn't it... Oh, gain a clue right there. Okay, so we get a clue. Here are the clues. Now, I'm not sure I shuffled these from last time, so I'm going to shuffle them. Okay, so here's the clue we get. Remember, if we get a set of these, it triggers something, set of 3 different ones. A ritual knight's shard. I think we saw this before. Those perceptive eyes of yours immediately notice this is an unusual metal shard. You consult Tesla, who says he never saw such a metal. You're convinced this shard is part of the murder weapons, since the cuts on the victim's body are flawless. Plus, the shard is covered in blood. That's another clue. It's also really sharp. You're sure such a blade could impeccably shave breasts, armpits, and legs if anyone comes up with such a stupid idea. When you showed it to a local barber, he only mumbled, "Sky holding rivets." You couldn't tell whether that was a curse or a statement. So, and then the bottom of all the clues have this thing that says if you have 3 of these from this set, you can trigger this, which would be nice for us to get. So the clues we can have an infinite number of. We just stack that up there. All right, now, if we wanted to go on this quest to gain a favor, we can check his barley crops. Not the most interesting quest, but it's done in the field, which is here, so it's nearby. Now we've got a quest, we've got a clue in the city, so we mark this as explored. So we won't be able to get another clue here. We'll come back to here when we get our 3 clues, but now we can walk through the city more efficiently. So the question is whether you want to do that side quest mission of his, or whether we want to go someplace else of our own choosing. I mean, I am curious to go to new places. I think we should go to the brothel. To get to the brothel, how would we get there? You can only travel tiles connected by road. So we could come up here, go to the laboratory, try to get some of Tesla's inventions, and then head over the crossroads and the brothel. I think that would be a pretty good idea, actually. The only question is whether if you want to do this side quest here. We're going to go north no matter what, right? So let's go north, and then we'll make our decision after that. So how do you go north? The first thing you do on your turn, let's see if we have our reminder player aid here. Jonathan says, I don't care about the barley. Okay, so first you move if you want, and then you do an encounter or solve a quest. So we're going to move 1 space up to here, the Imperial Road North, and we could fight a creature, have an intelligence encounter, or have a charisma encounter. So we're going to have a charisma encounter. So that comes from this deck. Let's see what we've got here. It's a smuggler. A grandpa jumps out of the bush. His contorted body reminds you of a question mark. Measuring you from head to toe, he says, "You look capable. I could use some help. I'm transporting certain goods via alternative routes. There'll be a reward, of course. Grandpa is smirking, awaiting your reply. So whether we're supposed to read this or not, let's just cover this up. So do we have an option? I don't think so. I think we do just a charisma test 13. But our charisma is 20, so we've got a +7. So it's a 7 plus 7 gives us 14. So that's a success. You follow the old guy as he takes some less traveled paths, your back loaded with 2 sacks of homegrown tobacco. Once you arrive at the destination, as a token of gratitude, Grandpa gives you 1 kilo of tobacco, which you then exchange with locals for something more useful. 1 lucky, and we're not allowed to take quests or events. So we take another lucky here. So that is done. That charisma encounter is done, and now we take a lucky. Let's see what we get here. We're not allowed to keep quests or events, but this is neither. Or is this an event because of that exclamation point? I think this might be an event. Where is our symbols here? I think this might be an event. Why it's not called... It's an event. Okay, so we weren't allowed to keep events. So this will get shuffled back in. And these are all events here in the top of this deck. So I'm going to shuffle these. I think I wanted to keep the ones we already did. I'll just shuffle them a bit. Okay, so we helped some guy transport tobacco. Yeah, I mean, of all the little quests, helping this guy check on his barley in the field does not sound all that appealing. If we get a lucky that we've gotten in a previous game, I will be inclined to swap it out. Okay, let's see if we got a non-event now. No, event. There's a non-event. Okay, Gone Tribal. No, this is exactly what we got before. What is going on with this giant deck of luckies? Why are we getting stuff we've gotten before? So that's what we got last game. We got this tattoo on us that we could never get rid of. Let's try here, something different. We've got 7 League Boots, Gypsy Caravan Camp at the city outskirts. You attend their evening show and get impressed with the Gypsy Boys' impalement arts. The boys' white boots are decorated with tiny horsehair braids. They seem like a must-have piece. You give the boy a good bargain, but he declines. Bro, these are the 7 League Boots. I inherited them from my grandpa and cannot sell them. You wait until all gypsies are asleep, sneak in, steal the boots. I gave him an excellent offer, but he declined. You mumble into the chilly night air, justifying yourself. So it's a novelist, whatever that means. It's a piece of clothing. You can only have one, but here we have one. It gives us +1 attack, +1 roll. If you're the thief, you get... I think it's just saying you're a thief now, so you get -1 charisma. And rationalist, if you have equipped Quickie or Abio, gain specialist card rationalist. Huh. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. I think we're just going to put this in our backpack because I don't want to wear these boots and get -1 charisma, and I don't plan on attacking much. I'd rather have the +1 charisma. We'll put these on if we get into a fight, but for now I'll just put it in our backpack. So we had an encounter. We had a successful encounter, so we mark this tile as explored. We can still have another encounter here if we wanted to, but now we can fast travel through the Imperial Road North. Now we need to decide whether you want to divert to the barley field and try to accomplish this mission. I mean, we haven't done many missions. We are near it. We could do it just for the fun of it. We may not be back here for a while. Jonathan says, let's just go to the lab. All right. Jonathan doesn't want to deal with Barley. We're going to move up to the laboratory. And now we're going to, we could shop and buy back that thing, but we have nothing to buy it with unless we want to sell our boots. Okay, so we're going to do a clue and talk to Tesla here. Will these work on this far away? Let's see. No, doesn't look like it. My cubes are not good enough. Unless it's not. No. Okay, let's not worry about it. We're going into the laboratory, page 10. So I think Tesla was getting attacked last time, so I'm not sure we ever did this. Had an encounter with him. You're standing in front of a round tower that's topped with a mushroom-like copper cupola. You knock on big wooden gates. Nobody's answering. The cupola atop the tower crackles with electricity. All your bodily hair stands out, including those on your head. You knock again and yell some to no avail. Dark clouds begin gathering around the cupola as if a storm is about to strike. Strange, because just a few minutes before, you were walking across a meadow bathed in the autumn sun. Since nobody appears at the gate, you look around and notice a sturdy metal box. The box is filled with switches. You tamper a bit with those, eventually pressing a red button. Instead of opening the doors, you get hit by the electric current. Suffer 2 damage. Okay, so damage takes away from our power. We're down to 9 power. Now, it's a lock. We've never done this before. Locks are picked as if you're having fights using your intelligence, it seems. It's rather clear Tesla himself designed this lock to prevent unauthorized breaches into his laboratory. The lock is robust and simple. Besides copper tabs marked by digits from 0 to 9, it contains a huge red button that's crackling with electricity. You're aware that sheer force will be of no help here. Luckily for you, the red button safely discharges all of its electricity each time you hit one of the right combo numbers. On the other hand, each time you miss a combination, electricity is discharged straight into your body. So, we have an encounter with this lockpick, which is basically handled almost like a combat encounter. But it says if you don't want to do this, you can come back. But if you start to pick the lock, you can't quit until you die or you pick it. So we're going to try to do this. But we're going to have to read the rules on lock picking because it's not something we actually did before. I remember the basics, but I'm going to have to read the rule. It's a lot like combat. Locks and riddles. Okay, so to pick a lock or solve a riddle, you must bring their respective strength to 0. Each successful complexity roll reduces its strength by 1 point. If you fail it, you suffer damage. The modifier is the difference between the complexity and the player character's intelligence. So this is a complexity of 10, and our intelligence is a 13. So we've actually got a +3. So we've got a +3 modifier. And we just keep trying to attack it. And when we fail, we take damage, and when we succeed, it takes damage. And it'll do 2 damage to us, and it has 5 health. So let's see how we do this. We treat it like a creature. So it has +5 health, and it's going to do damage to us of 2 every time we fail. Now, what is our special ability? Opponent can't use rifles. At the beginning of combat, you can bewitch, doing 4 damage. But clearly we can't bewitch the lock. Okay, so complexity of 10, intelligence. So we've got a +3. All right, let's see how this goes. So that's a 6. +3 is 9. That doesn't get us to 10, but we're going to role play it because we didn't try to cheat by dancing. We're going to give ourselves a +5. That's going to succeed, reducing its health by 1. Sorry, power was 5, so down to 4. Okay, and now we go again. I guess we could have rolled it twice if we wanted to. Okay, that's a 14. That's a natural hit, so that goes down once more. I suppose we should be counting turns too, right? We did 1, 2, 3. This is our 3rd turn. Okay, and then we just keep doing this. 12 plus our 3 is enough to beat 10. We succeed again. This is all one round. That was another 12. That succeeds. We dropped its health down to 1. We just need one more hit on this lock. That's a 19. That's actually a critical success. Let's remind ourselves that a critical success of 19 or 20, we would do some extra damage. +1 in lowering. And we don't. Critical miss, we draw an unlucky. That's it. I don't think we draw a lucky for this. So we have succeeded. We reduced the lock. We picked the lock. And we've now succeeded. So if you died, if it ran out all of our health, we'd go back to the hotel and rest. But we have success. Upon hitting the last right number, you hear a loud sound as if some big metal latch has been released. The huge door opens. You enter a narrow, unlit corridor and pass through a simple door into a large laboratory filled with the crackling noise coming from the lightning bolts jumping all over the place. The great inventor shuts down huge coils and approaches you with brisk steps. Who are you? How did you get inside? You've hit the right combination. You must be more intelligent than locals or Turks. However, I will kindly ask you to leave the laboratory's premises immediately. I am in the middle of an important experiment. I waited a long time for its conditions to concur. Missing this window of opportunity would mean I'll have to wait for quite some time before I can try again. Every second matters to me now. Hurry up, please. You ask about the murders. Beg your pardon, murders? You've lost me there. I do not know of such events. However, you can be sure it's not the Turks. They are busy elsewhere, believe me. Maybe you'll get some information in the brothel or the other city. As you're about to leave, Tesla says, now that you mention it, my milkmaid hasn't been coming for quite some time. Besides, I've noticed something that keeps evading reason. When I was on my last long walk in the woods, I sensed some kind of dark presence. Then later on, I found this object thing in the tall grass by the path. Tesla unlocks a drawer and pulls something out of it. Take this. I'm sure it's somehow connected with that growing darkness. Now please leave as my time is running up. Okay, we gain a clue. We're going to do another house rule here. If we get an exact identical clue, we're going to return it. So right now we have the knives shard. Here we have a squirrel's tail. Fine, fluffy, soft, ticklish. When blowing a nose into it, it can also be used to wipe tables, harden your partner's nipples before or after as you wish. The intercourse, or dust the light fixtures in Wolf's head. Besides that, you have no idea what to do with it or what kind of clue it is. Perhaps the murderer loves squirrels. Okay, that's a different kind of clue. Now, he turns his back to you and walks over to the coils. Tesla mounts huge dark goggles on his eyes, saying, If you ever come across useful things that you don't have use for, please bring them to me. I will compensate you accordingly. Also, if you seek knowledge, you can use my library. You thank him and go for the door. Just before you pull a huge metal lever, you hear him saying, I'm sorry to appear inhospitable and rude, but I can't afford to miss this opportunity for my experiment. If you're not offended, please come back later. I could use some competent people. You unlock new features, Tesla's prototypes, Tesla's library, and Patriot or Not. Let's see what those are about. Tesla's prototypes. Pay 2 to gain a prototype. So we have the boots, and that's it. So we really can't trade. You could pay with weapons, apparel, or trinkets. So we'd have to come back here if we get items to get a prototype from Tesla. We also can increase our intelligence by spending a round studying in his laboratory to temporarily boost your intelligence. I think it lasts until we rest, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to boost our intelligence up. Shall we spend a turn doing that? I think we should. So we've taken 1, 2, 3 turns. We're in the laboratory. I'm going to give us 4 turns. I'm going to give ourselves a boost of 3 intelligence. 1, 2, 3. Could even do it again. Stackable. I don't know if we can do it again. Let's just leave it there. Okay, so we have another quest, and I'd be inclined to do this one. You look very capable. There are some tasks I can't accomplish by myself. If you're willing to help me, I'm willing to help you. If you want to do Tesla a favor, start a quest line below, Patriot or Not. Okay, I think we should do this. But we can't use rifles, so that's not a good sign. Okay, but we should take our break here. Let's take a break. I'll see you in 8 minutes. We are back. I was just trying to find the rules about when you reset your stat. Rules are not the best. Resting, let's see. When your power drops to 0, you must rest. You can rest in the hotel in the city or in the other city. You can fast travel. When you rest, all of your PC statistics reset to their starting values. So I guess we get our benefits until then. I believe that's right. I guess we can see the side quests at the brothel, then pick which one of the two to attempt. Don't forget we can use the power of dance to overpower the arms dealers. I wonder if we shouldn't just have the power of dance just kill any... Let's just make her extra powerful and make her use her dance to just kill any creature that we fight against. All right, here's the side quest we could do for Tesla if we wanted to. This is one of my prototypes. I upgraded the old rifle a bit. Now it deals extra damage, electrical. Now I want you to take a crate full of those fine rifles, deliver it to a certain gentleman at the dead track. Can you do that? I can't pay you, of course, but I can help you with your investigation, and I can throw in something extra to sweeten the deal. So we would go to the dead track. So if we wanted to do this quest, we would go here. It's pretty far out of our way. On the other hand, we fast travel, so we would just zoom right down to here. So I think maybe we'll head to the brothel. Well, I don't know. I mean, if we do the dead track, he will give us something that we could use at the brothel. What would you like to do? Go to the brothel first or do the dead track first? Any thoughts, Jonathan? I guess maybe we would be better off doing stuff before Tesla. Then we can go to him once we have items and trade them in for prototypes. Okay, we're going to move a space. That's our 5th turn, we're saying, even though turns are very... We don't have to be so strict. We're on the crossroads. We want to explore. We don't have to explore this place, but we want to so we can do fast travel. So we're going to have a charisma encounter here. It's an encounter with a light bulb. You grab a shady guy's collar, pull him out of the bush. Fine suit, unshaved face, predatory gaze. He greets you merrily. Let's see if we can cover up these things. Greets you merrily. Hello, my friend. It's an American. His face seems familiar. You decide to interview him. Interview the guy from the bush. It's a high charisma of 14. That's pretty high, but we got a 20. So we got a +6. Okay, 12 plus 6 is 18. That's enough to beat 14, so it's a success. The guy delivers an elaborate tale. He came to visit his dear colleague Tesla, whose work he truly admires. Suddenly, you remember his face from a photo in Weiner Slid career. Edison, you scum, you came to steal another Tesla's invention, didn't you? You tie and blindfold him, then drag him to the gendarme. Maynarek is pleased and gives you one item from his secret collection. So this is a game with a definite opinion that Tesla is the hero and Thomas Edison, the American, is the robber of Tesla's technology. So yes. Okay, so we got a prototype. We've never had one before. Let's see what these look like. So here are the prototypes. Was an encounter, goes back. Okay, let us see what prototype we're going to get here. Let me shuffle these out in case they're... It's a Tesla thing. I want to be stronger, smarter, and look awesome, you exclaim. No problem, replies Tesla, taking a huge stapler. A few clicks and several screams later, oh, we've got another permanent thing. I don't know that we're going to do this. A few clicks and several screams later, you have your eyebrow, nose, and upper lip pierced. Tesla is not satisfied. Stick out your tongue. Your head is throbbing with pain. You cannot retract your tongue back into your mouth. Tesla's pleased. Now it's fine. You activate them by making grimaces. You make an angry face, you'll cause more damage. If you're cheerful, the magnets will melt people's hearts. If you wrinkle a thoughtful forehead, the electricity will improve your neural flux. Just make sure your face doesn't reveal your true feelings. So you're supposed to make a real grimace in the game as when you're role-playing it, and that will do 3 extra lightning damage in the next attack. If you make a seductive face, you get +3 charisma. If you make a philosophical face, you get +3 intelligence. This is supposed to be permanent, meaning we're not supposed to be able to undo it. But I think maybe we will allow ourselves to undo it if we wanted to. But let's just put that trinket. I mean, we can trade it in when we're at the laboratory if we want to. If it wasn't permanent, we would be able to. All right, I'm going to put a little explored marker saying that we have explored that area. And now we're going to take another turn and head over to the brothel. +3. In fact, I see now when we picked the lock, we should have had a +3 intelligence test on that. The brothel is a +3 charisma test. Can we go over 20? Probably not. Will that stop us? Probably not. Let's read the brothel entry. After a 2-hour walk down a narrow path, you behold the light of red candles. You push through the brothel's massive door. The music abruptly ceases. Drinks stop pouring down the patrons' throats, and flies get drowned in the sour wine. Everyone's gaze is on you. A female moan in an upstairs room is the only audible thing, well, apart from a sudden dog's bark. You proceed and take a corner table away from the light. Next thing, a voluptuous lady sits opposite of you. A huge mole between her eyes makes you think she has a surplus eye, atop her surplus weight. However, her stern look makes you realize you're the only surplus here. What do you want? A voice corroded by smoke. The Turkish accent confuses you, since she's obviously of Slavic origins. You don't know why, but you do not answer. The woman frowns and snaps her fingers. A Turkish guy appears behind her. He's huge as Mount Bedham and missing an eye. If you have no business here, Harris will show you the way out. The Turk's only eye squints. You take a deep breath. What do you know about murders and the Guardians? Information comes at a cost. Either pay or amuse me. This is Madame Jahira. Locals say she's always managed to live and do business on the border between 2 empires, wondering how her establishment hasn't yet been burned to the ground or at least shut down. On the surface, 2 mighty empires shared nothing, neither language nor alphabet, not to mention the customs or God. Yet Madame Jahira knew better. Men are men, no matter how they looked or talked or which god they prayed to or didn't pray. All of them loved to get laid and loved to roll a dice. Thus, her brothel became a place of contact between the 2 civilizations, a source of important information for both sides. In truth, nobody knew the allegiances of brothel personnel. Apparently, Madame Jahira works for everyone and no one but herself. So, we can pay 2 of our items. We could have to give up the boots and the trinket that we're not allowed to give up, or we can role play. Tell the other players the funniest joke you can remember. If other players find it funny enough, you get success. So I would have to tell you a joke. I do know one joke that my mother used to love, but yeah, I guess I could tell you the joke. This feels like it would take some time. Okay, I'll tell you the joke. This guy is, let me see if I can remember. This guy's driving down the road. It's like a small country road. And he sees pulled over to the road a truck. A truck that's got, it's like one of these high-tech climate-controlled trucks. And he sees like a refrigeration truck, an industrial refrigeration truck, and he sees the driver panicked, pacing around this thing. And he pulls over. He says, you know, can I help you out? And this guy says, I've got a huge trouble. I got a truck full of penguins to take to the zoo, and the coolant just broke down, and I'm in an emergency. The truck engine has broken. The coolant system is heating up, and these penguins have got to get to the zoo. And the guy says, okay, I'm going to help you. I will get these penguins to the zoo. And the driver of the truck knows that he probably shouldn't do this, but it's an emergency. The penguins are going to die. So they load all the penguins into this guy's little van. And off he goes. And the driver of the coolant delivery truck, who had been hired to take these penguins to the zoo, he waits for his repair guy to come. The repair guy comes. They fix up the truck. They get it on the road. He makes his way to the zoo. He gets out, and he gets to the penguin exhibit, and he looks around. He sees no penguins in sight. This is hours after he was parked on the side of the road, broken down. And he's in a total panic. He says, didn't you get the delivery of the penguins? I trusted this guy in a van to deliver these penguins. And the guy at the exhibit says, nope, never showed up. And now what have you done? So the guy gets back in his truck. He goes driving out. He's totally in a panic. He doesn't know how he's going to explain this. He knows he's going to get fired. He's driving around everywhere looking for this guy. He's almost about ready to give up. And he sees, down in the center of the city, as he's about ready to give up, he sees the van with the guy. And he sees this big line of penguins down the sidewalk. He pulls over his truck, and he gets out, and he says, oh my God, what have you done? I told you to bring the penguins to the zoo. I thought you ran away. And the guy says, yeah, I brought him to the zoo. We got some ice cream. We had some time left over. I thought I'd take him to the movies. So that is the joke. What did you think of that joke? All right. So that was a long session, a long joke. All right. So, but we'll consider that a success. And look what we got, Jonathan. Did you notice this? We were talking about this before we started, that the comedian was the path we wanted to try taking. So we actually got a special feature, which is comedian. I don't know if this comes with a card. I don't think there is Is there a card for that? Let's see. Yeah, look, there is a card called Comedian. You're witty and funny. You go through the life always cracking jokes. People love you, mostly. Few of them can't stand you, but you simply dismiss those as weirdos. You're so into this comedian character of yours that you make jokes even during combat. Jokes distract your opponents, giving you time to attack. Funny enough, that works even on animals. Everything looks perfect except those lonely moments. In those lonely moments when you feel like this whole comedian thing is just a charade, a stupid mask you wear for a reason you cannot fathom. +3 charisma, +1 attack, and we know it changes some of the paths. Okay, so we succeeded at making Madame Jahira laugh. And now we have to do a 14 charisma test. So we have to pass charisma 14 3 times. Never bore her. Bad things happen to us. Okay, so we're going to call this 3 charisma. We're going to let this go above 20. So we have a 23 on a test of 14. So we have a +9 on whatever we roll here. So 9 + 7 is 16. That's a success. 2, that would be a failure, but we get 2 rolls. 19, that's a critical success, and we just need 1 more. That's a 2. We get a second roll, and a 10 + 9 is 19. Okay, so we succeeded with 3 rolls. I mean, charisma is what we're really good at. We've told her 3 stories. Each time we failed, we would get a damage, but with our 2 rolls, we would be fine. So she says, I mean, we would actually also get another +3 because of this. So we had like 26. We had a huge charisma bonus, almost unfailable. Beware the forest during the full moon. Something old and bloodthirsty lives there. Something that makes me shiver to the bone. Oh, every time I turn my back to the darkness. Even the most ferocious animals evade this thing, whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but I know it was here long before my time. This is not the first time people hang from the trees eviscerated. I'm sure you'll find answers on Mount Perun, but don't go there alone. Guardians, we ask? Madame Jahira looks through the window into a dense grove of silver spruces and says, if it wasn't for them, things would be much worse. You must find them before venturing to Mount Perun. Yeah, but where are they? Turning her head toward you, she says, nobody knows. They're going to find you, not the other way around. The old woman sucks in smoke and breathes out a dense veil between you two. Hodorich blames guardians for murders, and the chief of police hides something. Maybe the shortest way to find guardians might be through the tea house. You get off the table. Visit us before you leave for Mount Perun. You'll have no use of money on such a journey. She grins. Here's something on the house. Spring's water quenches more than mere thirst. Also, take this item. A boy who lives in the woods and loves squirrels told me he found it deep in the forest, and a dried puddle of blood on a victim no one will ever find. Draw a clue. Okay, let's see what clue we got here. It's a squirrel's tail, but we already have that one. I'm going to put that away and give us the next one, which is an unusual medallion, which is a second of our 3 knife clues. You've never seen such an ornament, yet you like it so much you decide to wear this medallion around your neck, even though it's evidence. You're sure the drawing has something to do with Arcadian pagan customs, since local ladies make the sign of the cross as soon as they see you, while local men snort at you. Pub owner Maynarick told you to cover it or get lost from Wolf's Head. You decide to take it off because, why would you wear it if no one else saw? You don't know whether the medallion belongs to a victim or the murderer, but Every here and then you dream of a slender old man approaching you. Dream after dream, he comes closer and closer while dread and terror keep growing. You hope he'll whisper the murderer's name once he comes really close. Okay, so we have 2 of the 3 of the knife ritualistic stuff. You unlock new features, gamble and night in brothel. So we could pay X to draw X random luckies. So we could give away our boots and try to get something else. Or we could pay 1 item to set our power to max and +3 charisma stackable. We're already got our charisma at 20. So I don't really have a place to max it to 3. And power max would just give us 2. Surely that's not worth it. Now, we can start the comedian quest line only if you have unlocked a special feature. I wonder if this is what gets us the comedian card. Like, I wonder if I shouldn't have this. We've got the comedian special feature, special card, but do you think I shouldn't have taken this? I wonder. Let's see. Maybe we do this no matter what. Comedian, always look on the bright side. You're a really funny person. I rarely meet humorous people, says Madame Jahira. I guess this industrialization's a bit of a downer for everyone. Now, how about you spread that good spirit of yours through Arcadia and lift people's hearts a bit? I think everyone would like that. So we could go to the Wolf's Head or the Tea House. Well, the Wolf's Head is... We found a clue here, so we've got this explored so we can fast travel. So we can instantly just run back to the Wolf's Head and work on this quest. Or we go to the Tea House, which is here. And she was saying something about the tea house being a useful place. So maybe we go to the tea house. I think maybe we head down for the comedian path. And then if we want to, we can come back here and do the arms dealer. I think that makes sense. Let's go this way. So it's weird that you got to remember Wolf's Head or Tea House. I think we should do the other city because we can get a clue here anyway. So this is a smart place to go. All right, so I'm going to take another turn and move us down to the Wade, whatever that is. And we're going to do a charisma encounter here. It's ninjas. Tired and thirsty, you search for shade. Suddenly there's an explosion. 2 small black cat-clad creatures emerge out of the smoke. Next thing, star-shaped metal pieces fly toward you. You dodge all but one that gets stuck in your thick coat. What's this, you ask? The answer's a growl. We're ninjas. Prepare to die a horrible death. Okay, 13 plus our over 20 is a +7. Okay, so 16, that's a success. Pulling a shuriken, you throw it at the birch's exact center. Creatures halt. You respectfully bow, explaining you were once a ninja yourself, but changed the profession for financial reasons. Ninjas nod, adding their financial prospects are not shiny either. To help their former colleagues, they give you some smoke bombs. Opponents roll -3 in the next combat. Okay, that's meaningless because we're not gonna let ourselves have a next combat if we can help it. so we have had an encounter here, so that is considered explored. Now we're going to take our next turn, and we're going to move down in here, and then we're going to have a clue at the tea house, 38, and then we'll try to come and do this quest. Or maybe we do this. There might be a rule about this, actually. I suppose it doesn't really matter, though. So let's do... I'm just trying to think whether we have to do this one first or not. I think we can do them in any order, but okay, let's do our quest first. The Wolf's Head. No, we're not in the Wolf's Head. We're at the tea house. The man listens to you with obvious impatience. When you finish pitching your... You know what? I think we should do this first, because this one's going to tell us about what the tea house looks like and stuff. Okay, so here we're having the clue encounter at the tea house. The other city resembles the city like a reflection in a convex mirror. Architecture is different. Inscriptions, flags, and clothes are different. There's a mosque instead of a church and a tea house instead of a pub, but people are pretty much the same. Well, our character is converted to Islam, so I guess she likes the city better. They believe with the same fervor, think the same way, spit and walk around in the same way, love and hate in the same way, live and die in the same way. The tea house is an airy and nicely decorated place as opposed to the Wolf's Head. Yet the welcoming treatment is, as you could have guessed, a mixture of dubious glances and intrusive glares. You approach the bar that is tended by a mustached guy wearing a red fez. He looks like someone who surely knows something, though his spiteful glare does not exactly encourage questions. With his dark eye bags and sunken cheeks, you can tell that this man is tired of life or merely overridden with worries. His clear black eyes stand out against his crooked physique and yellow teeth, which make him look like an addict. The guy sits still, almost frozen, and yet his fingers quickly tap on the counter. You cannot determine whether his finger dance is due to nervousness or too much caffeine from tea. You reckon such an impatient man is best approached with some nice words. He's edgy, so he won't give you a second chance. You may only roll once. So we have to do a charisma test of 14. Tea maker, my man, you got some really nice cups here. A little bird told me you know some important things about murders. So why don't you tell me all you know while I slurp one of your delicious teas? Okay, so clearly doing that, some bad things seem to happen if we fail. So let's try to do this. We only get one roll, but we're on a 14. If I make a seductive face, we get +3. So let's do a +3. So we're 23. We're at a +9. We have to get 14. Okay, so that's an easy success. Okay, continue reading below. Tea house. In here, says the tea master, leading you behind the curtain into a warehouse. Shelves go all the way to the ceiling, filling the air with a myriad of tea aromas. The guy squats behind the last shelf, rolls up a thick carpet, and reveals a wooden lid with a ring. He then taps a coded signal, and you hear a metal sound of a lock opening. The lid lifts to reveal the narrow wooded stairs. Go in, you'll find a way, he says, and leaves. You descend the screechy stairs into darkness and suddenly get overwhelmed by a heavy scent of opium. The far angles of a huge room are dimmed by the dark golden light of oil lamps. People from all social classes linger on various beds thrown around, smoking hookahs. They're served by girls not old enough and not clothed enough, but clients do not pay attention to them. Deciding it is best not to stare around too much, you inhale a smoke or two just to fit in. Of course, anything for the investigation and the greater goal. After only a couple of inhales, a winter Arcadian day gets transformed into a beautiful spring day. You're lying under a sparse tree crown, warmed by the pleasant sun, surrounded by playful butterflies and chirping birds. Caressing the soft grass, your hand touches something hard that instantly transports you back to the tea house basement. It seems someone has shoved an unusual object into your hand while you are daydreaming. Gain a special card, the Joker clue. You know all too well that this is of extraordinary importance for the investigation. However, you don't manage to guess what it is exactly and why it's so important. You feel the weight of this importance in your very soul, yet you cannot fathom it. You just know this is the missing link, the crucial connection, something like that. You're also sure that when this clue finds a certain fitting context, the meaning will emerge on its own. Though this clue has no significance presently, you decide to preserve it. You are certain that sooner or later you'll get the idea of what it's all about, and the clue will eventually fit like a glove. So basically, it's any one of this set. So we actually now have, if we wanted to, we now have a set of 3 rituals. So we could go to the circle and read the special lead. That's pretty cool. Or we could wait and get another squirrel clue and do that. So we can now do our 3 special leads if we wanted to. Okay, now we have a new quest we could go on, which is right next door. But before we even consider that, let's do this one. So we go upstairs. The man listens to you with obvious impatience. When you finish pitching your comedy night, he brushes you off. Get out. You realize this will be a hard one, but you refuse to leave without a fight. May I at least tell you one little joke? If it's a bad one, I'll leave in no time, and you'll never see my face again. Now that's a decent offer. Tell the team master the funniest joke you know. Other players judge your performance. Okay, I'm not telling another joke. So let's just read what happens here. So his mustache twitches. He bursts into a loud guffaw. He laughs so hard for so long his eyes become teary. Eventually he says, "You're a good person, but you won't get far in Arcadia. Please take this sword. It's the best of its kind in the whole Ottoman Empire. May it serve you well. Gain the special card Yadigan." Oh, Jonathan's going to tell a story. I'll tell a joke stolen from the film The Living Wake. I can go get this card ready for Jonathan's joke. We get a special card. Yadigan. A man who thinks himself an intellectual is at a liquor store. He says, "My father always said we drink to lower ourselves to the level of the common man, but we must remember the common man also drinks, so we must drink twice as much." Although we said we drink to lower ourselves to the level of the common man. Common man also drinks, so we must drink twice as much. Okay. I think that's the totality of the joke. Okay. All right, so he laughed and then he says, we're going to need this sword. The symbol of the Orient was named after the Turkish region of Yatagan, where it is still produced. So +2 attack, +1 roll, +2 damage. That's pretty good. Can we even wield this, though? I guess you can't use rifles or guns. Yes, we can use this. So we're going to keep this weapon. Maybe we could trade it in if we don't need it. Okay, then it's saying that we should go back to Madame Jahira at the brothel. Well, I guess we're going to do that. We're going to travel up to Madame Jahira, which is just one action since we can fast travel there. And then we're completing a quest. Let's see what it is. Report to Madame Jahira. I already heard the news. Your good spirit is much needed in Arcadia. I'll help you as much as I can on your quest of stopping these insane killings. People from both sides of the imperial border come here and talk a lot about murder. Some of them even collect a thing or two from the murder sites. They show up while telling their stories, and then they leave them here like they're cursed. I keep them in this box. See if you can find something useful for your investigation. Choose and take 2 clues from a clue deck. And gain the comedian. Okay, so we didn't get the comedian card initially, but now we would get it. I'm glad we did that. Okay, so we would be allowed to get 2 clues from a clue deck. There's only 1 clue deck, so I'm not sure what it's talking about. But it would allow us to take our choice of 2 of these. Wow, doing a quest is actually pretty useful, huh? So we could on our own take the... We have the medallion, we have that. We could take the squirrel's skull. I guess that's what we should take. Let's go take the squirrel's skull. That way we could do the squirrel path if we wanted to. Now this is quite a bizarre clue. You find nothing unpleasant about a whitened rodent skull, plus under a dim gaslight back in your hotel room it seems to wink at you. You sort of hear it murmuring someone's name in the middle of the night just before you go to sleep, but you're not sure whose. Waking up in the morning, you remember dreaming of riding a giant squirrel, still feeling its strong hair under your fingers. Sometimes you hold the squirrel's skull in your palm and whisper, trying to figure out whether it has anything to do with the murderer. To be or not to be. To be or not to be. Okay. Now we have 2 squirrel clues, 2 ritual clues, and a joker that lets us trigger any of them. And that is the comedian quest line complete. Now, we could look at the delivery man quest that they wanted us to do in the tea house. We could go to Wade, pick up a package from the Marauders, bring it back, and then we'll get another clue. So the question is, do we want to do that? We're here. We could go here and try to do that side mission. We now have enough stuff that we could go to Tesla and try to get one of his prototypes. Or at any time, we could trigger these 3 things. We are ready to go to Act 2 if we wanted to. Squirrels or ritualistic stuff. No, we have not seen any clues from the third set ever. They must be rarer, don't you think? I think the clues from the other set must be rarer. Actually, there's a whole bunch of them coming up next. So maybe they just weren't shuffled well enough. What is this 48? Is that something we can actually do now? I guess I'd be inclined to do this delivery quest since we're right there. We could also do this thing, although it's not clear to me that we're allowed to. Do we draw the Marauders card and fight them? Could you explain what you're asking about there? Oh, pick up a package from the Marauders. We might very well be fighting Marauders there. I guess we should try it. Let's see what happens. If we get into a combat, we'll walk away. But clearly, I mean, it seems like we wanted to go down this way anyway. So let's walk over here. That's a turn. And now we're going to trigger this delivery at Wade. Go to Wade, pick up a package. Okay, so here we are in Wade. The river glistens in the sun like a dark blue serpent. As you approach the river ford, two marauders step out of the grove. One of them says, "Cup." You answer, "Tea." The other marauder hands you a jute bag that smells of rotten potatoes. When you shove it into your backpack, you smell the sour scent of opium. Shouldering your backpack, you turn around and spot a janissary and Shekban with Sloughy. "Oh, looky, looky," says the janissary. "What do we have here? Looks like some illegal business." Then he turns towards you. "Well, we did not expect to find you here as well. How come you're in the company of such scumbags? Could it be by mistake?" So we're going to try to charisma our way out of them. Encourage the Marauders to attack Shikban and Janissary. Success. Marauders join you in combat. Fail. They run away and they attack first. Okay, it's a charisma 11. We're at a +9 plus all of our other stuff. So let's just see what we got here. 4 + 9 is 13. That's a success. So the Marauders would combat against the Janissary, Shikban, and Sloughy. So we would now have to have combat. We're not going to have that combat, but I just want to see for fun what it would look like, because it's one person fighting on our side and 3 people we'd be fighting against. So let's just look at this. The Sloughy is a dog that's fighting against us. And also we've got the Shekban, which is this person is fighting against us. And the Janissary, which is what? Not here? Where is it then? Must be in creatures 2. Oh, we're in a 2 level. So everything is from this deck. Sorry. Let's see. There's the Janissary. He's like the boss guy here. Wow, power 13, damage 2, attack 3. And the Marauders are fighting on our side because we convinced them to fight on our side. Okay. And there's multiple Janissaries that are the same. Okay. Doesn't matter because we're not going to run through this 20-minute fight for no reason. We are just going to, it's the Marauders. Let's just do it this way. The Marauders and us versus these three. Damage 3, attack 2. I'm going to just have the Marauders kill the Janissary. They're going to cancel out. If we dance, we bewitch everyone, inflicting 4 damage. That's going to, even the dog goes down to 2 damage. This guy goes to 5 damage. And we've got this sword that gives us +2 attack and +2 damage. I think we would easily kill the dog without taking a damage at all. This guy's got a couple life left. He might hit us for 1. And that's going to be the end of that entire long battle. Got simplified into a very streamlined combat where we took 1 damage. Okay, so that was that. So now we're supposed to go to the tea house to deliver it back. So that would take us an extra turn to walk back to the tea house. And now we get to read what happens when we bring this back to the tea house. And then we read the tea house basement. So actually, doing this gets us the thing we already got. It's just a different way to go down to the basement. We actually walked in the front door and did a Charisma 14 test, and that was all we needed to do. So, having delivered this with this huge fight, just sends us to the basement. That's a really painful way to get the same thing you could get if you just walk in the front door and do a charisma test. That's pretty bizarre. Okay, well, let's just have them give us instead a benefit of this, a whip. A whip that seems worthy of Attila the Hun. You try it, the air crackles with your swings. Clearly, this is a product of high quality. You don't even think of bargaining. Antes, please. You're eager to try the whip against all the naive people crossing your path. Perhaps occasionally against those cheeky bastards who mock you on the street every day, hitting your back with stones. Okay, I don't know what that's all about, but we're just going to keep this. Jonathan says we're only supposed to do that if we failed the charisma test. I see. All right. Well, then maybe we'll just give ourselves a turn back. All right, where do we want to go next? Are we ready to submit our clues, or do you want to do something different? Do you want to try to go to the dead track and take care of Tesla's mission? So Jonathan says we shouldn't have even been, if we were paying attention, we wouldn't have tried that side quest. We haven't ever done the spring thing either. I wonder though if we wouldn't be better off with one of Tesla's prototypes. If you're ready, we could trigger the squirrel shortcut. Is that the one you'd rather do? So we've got squirrel's tail and squirrel's skull. Or we've got the ritual knife shard and the unusual medallion. And we need 3 to trigger it, but we can use the Joker on either one. I think I would like to get a prototype. I'd like to give our things back and get some prototypes. So maybe let's go before we trigger this. I don't have a preference. No, I really don't. I think let's travel back to Tesla's laboratory. That's a turn. And let us see what we can do here. He gave us some ways to buy his prototypes. We didn't do this, but we did get prototypes. Pay 2 to gain a prototype, and then we can trade them in as well. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to give the boots and the Yadigan and the whip and this thing that's supposed to be permanent that he stapled into our mouth. We're going to unpermanent it. I'm going to give him 4 things in exchange for 2 prototypes. It's not quite according to rules. Oh, we actually have a prototype here. That was this. I guess we get to keep one of these. We're trading in this prototype that we're not supposed to trade in, 1 for 1. And then I gave 2 more things to get another one. So that goes back. Let's see what 2 prototypes we got and if they're any use to us. Bone shaker knuckles, large capacitors which you're dragging on your back along with the wires connecting them to the huge copper knuckles reduce your movability but pay off each time you hit. So -1 attack, -1 roll, but +5 damage. If you have equipped exoskeleton or forest people's gloves, gain a special card, Petra. Okay, so less attacks, but 5 damage. And thunderous voice. The collar's front side is drilled like a sieve and protected with a metal net, gently attaching it to your neck. Tesla nudges you to say something. The entire lab shakes with your booming voice, using gesticulation instead of speech. You ask Tesla, what is this? He answers he was experimenting a bit with amplifying the sound, thinking it could find an application in the entertainment industry. Just think about it. You wouldn't have to use that speaking trumpet to outspeak the restless crowd in the audience. Ha! Okay, so once per combat, we can cause 3 damage splash, and opponents can't activate their special abilities. That's a piece of clothing. I mean, none of these matter because we're not going to be doing combat really. So the only question now is whether you want to trigger the special clue set, which I guess we're going to do. But what we'll do is we'll take our 8-minute break here, and then we'll come back The audience can decide which clue set. We'll take a vote whether we want to trigger on the squirrels or trigger on the ritual items. And when we get back, we'll do that trigger. I'll see you in 8 minutes. YouTube says 8 viewers, which seems hard to believe, but would YouTube ever lie to us? We have decided, I don't think we even need a formal vote, but I guess, all right, let's have our formal vote. Which clue path do we want to go by? We are well past the halfway mark. It's almost impossible to see with this crazy turn marker. I guess we're just a little bit past the halfway mark. But we want to have enough time to win this scenario. So we're about ready to trigger Act 2. We're triggering it in one of the unique ways by completing a set of 3 clues. And we've decided we're either going to do the squirrel clue set or the ritual knife skill set. And we're going to vote. So type vote squirrels or vote rituals. The rituals actually want us to go down here in this crazy circle to do it. So we'd have to actually travel a bit. The squirrels are actually on the wolf trail. Where is that? Here. So the wolf trail is actually a little bit faster to get to, if that helps. 1 vote for rituals, 2 votes for squirrels. Nino says, I'm working in the chat. That's not the view I want. I don't have a good vote with the chat, do I? I'm working in chat. I like watching you play while I do some chores. It's like ASMR. I think most of the people watching this channel do so to help their insomnia. Either way, I think it's going to be squirrels. I think it's going to be squirrels. So we're going to close down the vote. And we're going to do squirrels. So here's what we do. We need to go to the Wolf Trail and read about Eldon. So we can actually trade these in for prototypes, but maybe we'd have to go somewhere to do that. So let's just go, wow, is there another prototype that's worth getting? No, it's all just weapons. Okay, let us go to the Wolf's Trail. How do we do that? We just move one space here. That's another turn. And we give in our squirrel clues. And we read Eldon, page 65. That feels like it's near the end of the book. Yeah, okay. Let's see what we've got here. After combining clue, squirrel's tail, squirrel's skull, and squirrel's paw, while I'm losing time in this godforsaken place collecting squirrel's remains, someone could have easily discovered the murderer. A lonely thought crosses your mind. You decide to venture deeper into the forest in order to take a nap and clear your mind. You find a knotty old oak and sit down. Leaning your tired back against the trunk, you doze off as you start floating into dream images. A blast of light blinds you through closed eyelids. Opening your eyes, you realize night is still all around you, except that somehow it's not. Light radiates from the ground and the crowns of surrounding trees. Eyes wide open, you begin to enjoy this forest aurora borealis. Suddenly, a nut hits you between the eyes. You hear a child's laughter and bare feet tapping over the fallen leaves. Looking above, you behold a boy sitting on a branch, swinging his legs. Let me guess. You point a finger at the little guy. Instead of an answer, you hear high-pitched laughter that painfully probes your ears. Before you manage to scream in discomfort, the laughter vanishes, and the boy is now sitting on a branch across from you. I am Eldon, he says. His face is smiling, but his black eyes remain distant and cold. I live in these forests, and I see many things. I see Turks sneaking around. I see Tesla secretly crossing the border and Guardians tirelessly watching over the border. I also see people hanging on the very branches I happen to sit upon. I do not care for people much, but I very much care about squirrels. And one who kills people happens to kill squirrels too. And he's not alone. One of these two stole my wooden horse. The other lives high up Mount Perun and enjoys seeing lives vanishing at his hands. Both humans and squirrels' lives. You frown, trying to make sense of the boy's words. He goes on. I will help you, because our goal is the same, though we come from different places and take opposing paths. You're still perplexed. I dig none of the things you just said. We say to him, I dig none of the things you just said. Instead of getting an answer, you're hit with another nut between your eyes. Lights go off both in your mind and in the forest. You wake up near the fire in front of the barracks. A tall, vitally looking old man approaches you. Transfer to barracks and read success. So we happen to be right here. And he shoves us over here. And he wants us to read 51 we would normally read, but he lets us skip it and go to the success. So it looks like what it's trying to say is normally we would have to fight Elder Voshkin, but instead we go right to success. I believe that's what it's trying to tell us to do. Transfer to barracks, read success on page 52. So we can avoid fighting this guy, I guess. You and the elders sit silently by the fire, gazing at thin orange flames. Suddenly the man mumbles a short prayer and says, "There's a border that separates the world. When our ancestors arrived with migration, the border wasn't there. They lived in the undivided world where gods fought each other and the One. And so it was for hundreds of years until man started to fight the One." What's the theory here between how we're fighting this guy? I mean, what's the theory between... There's an elder who's talking to us. Like, how does that follow from this? A tall, vitally looking old man approaches you. Okay, so he likes us. All right, so it did make sense. This guy is now our friend. We didn't have to fight him. Time began, despising and renouncing the guys from the olden times. The border then began to rise and grew more impenetrable as man became more powerful. With the appearance of machines that devour trees and puke smoke, the border hardened even more. Soon enough, the One will also succumb and retreat before man, and border will become almost impenetrable. We are the guardians of that border, the sons and daughters of old people whose world will eventually diminish and continue to live on only in people's dreams. Yet we shall not cease to perform our duty, because there's a host of forces in both worlds which still yearn for power over the other world. One of those is the murderer you're looking for. His name is Vyesht. He moves in and out of both worlds, afflicting damage from both sides of the border. In order to find him, you have to go through the initiation rite. Only then the border shall open before you. Also, before you face the murderer on Mount Perun, you'd be wise to eliminate his assistant, Vigor, at Stone Pit. Better to attack them separately because they're invincible together. We were not able to overcome them. He then sighs and shouts, "Fetch Vladislav." Locking his eyes with yours, he adds, "I am giving you my very best scout. May the fortune be with you. You'll surely need it." So we now are crossing the border in between these lands. We could power max +3. Every time you visit the barracks, you may refresh yourself. So power max +3, I don't really understand that, but I'm going to bring us to our normal max and +3. That'll cost us an extra turn, even though I don't really understand the logic of this stuff. And we've gained the special card of Vladislav. Remember, he joined us last time, so it's always the same little ending here. But this is someone who will fight side by side with us. He's actually pretty good. He's got a bow, and that's fine. Okay, now we need to go to the stone pit to confront Vigor, or we can go straight for Vesht without confronting Vigor, but we're going to try to confront Vigor because the stone pit, that's over here. It's actually, I guess we're going to travel this way through here. So we're going to take a couple turns to do that. So if we were playing by the rules, we didn't have an encounter at Wolf's Trail, so that would be 1, and then 2 would get us down into here. It would theoretically take 2 turns. I'm not sure we're going to have enough time for that, but we'll try it. Then we don't actually need to have an encounter here, but if we're planning on walking back up here, we will. And we think we're going to actually have to go this way through here. So I think we are going to have an encounter. So let's just try to do this. And I guess we're now in the border, so we have to have this encounter. Dobrin. Combats have left their mark on you. To be frank, these were not just combats, but also a few critical misses that almost cost you dearly. You must either get some rest or find a safe passage. Your reflection is interrupted as you behold several unusual scarecrows in the surrounding landscape. You recall a scarecrow is a symbol of Dobrin, the god of fertility and crops. It sounds like you'd be better off exploring all these places before you cross the border. So we've got Charisma 20, plus we've got Vladislav, who doesn't help us. All right, let's try to pass this on our own. 1620, we're at +4. Our comedian gives us +3, so we're at +7. Okay, 13 + 7 is 20, so we succeed. You light a votive candle in front of a scarecrow, uttering a silent prayer, repeating the eloquent words you once heard from a priest in Hamlet. A few moments later, a scarecrow turns in a direction you have to take. The safe passage leads you through an orchard. You refresh yourself with a few juicy apples and find someone's lost bag. +2 power. And +1 lucky. Okay, so we got a little trinket, which is called a vanisher. It gives us a new quest, actually, that we could achieve if we wanted to. That's pretty cool. The most beautiful village bride-to-be ties a tricolor scarf around your neck, sensually whispering into your ear for your protection. Skip the combat, mark it as explored, and discard it. Doesn't work with bosses. That's pretty cool. And it gives you a quest. I like that idea. We don't really have time for that quest, but we'll just put it on. And we had that encounter. And we have explored this. Okay, next stop is the Stone Pit. That's where we're going. So, Stone Pit, we're going to now confront Vigor. Here we are in the Stone Pit. You remember we had this one before. It's this creepy guy. He's totally crazy. If you haven't crossed the border, we have. You're looking at a skinny, tattered figure writing red signs resembling those you saw on ordinary tombstones, statues, and other stone monuments scattered across Arcadia, the old Slavic alphabet. You don't understand the letters, and yet you're still somehow sure the message pretends no good. Coming closer, you realize the letter's red color does not come from ink, but from blood, and that the brush is probably made from the hair of human victims. Hearing the clattering of gravel under your feet, the figure sharply turns, revealing a man with utterly dark eyes. He throws away the bloody human hairbrush while tilting his head to the left and right, as if trying to assess you, and shouts, you're late, the moon is almost full, and Vyesht is about to offer our world to the gods upon Mount Perun. It's over. The guy starts dancing, laughing, and jumping around. You're quite certain the creature is completely insane and probably the murderer, but you decide to give the peaceful resolution a shot. We can test intelligence or charisma. Intelligence or charisma on the next page. Charisma 16. Okay, so we're going to do a charisma 16 now. We're 20 plus 1 from our trinket and 3 from our comedian, so +4. 24 versus 16, so we're a +8. Okay, 14 plus 8 makes us 22. That's an easy success. So we say, Yo, artist. You are an artist, right? I can see you dance and paint. Would you like to help me deal with your boss, and maybe we can arrange your exhibition in the city? Exhibition? For me? Where I can show my work? Yes, that would be so great. May I have a dance performance at the opening too? I can? Yes, 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 I'll help you. Thank you so much. Okay, so this guy joins us. Instead of having to fight him, look at this. His erection visibly grows. He's totally insane. We'd have to fight him. Yikes. But instead, he's on our side. And now we're going to go to Mount Varun. So I suppose he's got to be in here somewhere, right? Or he's a special. Man of Clay, that's who we would have to fight with him if we had to fight. But he's not in here. I wonder, where is he? Is he in special cards? I mean, we need his thing. Did I file it away wrong? Because surely we need a card for him, don't we? Oh, we're not supposed to have it. That's okay, we did it anyway. But don't we need his card? I wonder if I put it somewhere. Okay, well, let's not worry about it now. Let's just go to Mount Perun. So we need to go up this way. So our first stop has to be here. I think we're like this or something. Not that it really matters. And then we're not going to worry about doing encounters here. We're going to walk up once more here, which takes another turn. And then once more here, and now we're at Mount Perun with 4 turns left or so. Is there a trail from Wade? Do you think there's a trail from Wade? I don't think there is. I don't think Wade goes across these mountains. I think the only way is up like this. But it doesn't really, it's possible it goes through the mountains. I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter though. Let's turn to 58. Okay, here's our big bad guy. Remember, this is the same ending you get no matter what, but we are going to read something different because of the comedian. Let's see what happens. Here is our big boss. Full moon's light illuminates a grassy hill. You clearly see 12 graceful Stygic tombstones inscribed with Slavic ornaments and the Glagolitic alphabet. In the circle's center, a tall figure mumbles something, bending over a long altar. A wet breeze carries the smell of rotten flesh. Without making a sound, you arrive a mere few steps behind the figure. Your stomach protests. On the altar, human organs are arranged in a circle, laying across a carved pattern that matches the placement of Stygic tombstones and star constellations. A figure clad in fur suddenly turns. The fur, made of squirrels' tails, flies around him, giving him the momentary appearance of a creature with multiple hands. That's all the squirrels' furs. Ah, finally we meet. The guy shouts, the stench of your intellect, steel, and smoke arrived days before you. He steps aside and points to the altar. You arrived a bit too late. I have arranged all, and the passage shall soon be opened, an organ for each constellation. Simple, isn't it? You tell him that all of this is insane nonsense for which some innocent people have paid dearly. What do their lives mean to sun and moon? What are a few transient human lives in exchange for learning the secret eternal? Nothing. Red moon rises above Stychik tombstones. Oh, red moon rises above Stychik tombstones. Okay, that's our blood red moon. I have waited for 18 years. It's time, yells the guy, spreading his hands. Openings in his fur mantle now reveal the white body hair on his chest, along with the wrinkled genitals that are covered in equally white pubic hair. The old man starts chanting a melancholic, dark, and ancient melody. You sense the vibrations. The air is crackling with energy. The breeze transforms into a freezing north wind that makes the evergreen forest around the hill moan. Eagles' call echoes in the mountain, and wolves start crying to the moon. Singing loudly, Veshta pulls out a dagger and cuts a red line across his chest. Dense blood drips over the altar. The wind turns into a whirlwind, and a choir of wolves goes over the top. Metal parts on your weapons and equipment vibrate ever more strongly. Just as you think you'll be torn apart, everything grows quiet in an instant. Inconspicuously, the blood moon moves toward the west, and Vyesht collapses onto the altar. As you step forward, he sharply turns at you, his eyes burning, his mouth foaming. This is your fault. You are the reason the passage did not open. You! Your voice is calm. Let us go, then. We have a nice cell for you, with a vista opening towards a wall and medicaments to ease up your madness. With lightning speed, Vyesht grabs a staff with a smoldering stone atop. The staff's top turns red and flames up. Go? You're about to go into the great nothing, you ordinary fool. Okay, so if we want to do the comedian and tell a joke, we would get a success. Otherwise, we have to fight 3 creatures. So I guess we're just going to... Does anyone in the chat know a joke they can tell? Telling jokes is not really my thing. We'll just assume. We'll assume some... Oh, Devil Boy Scooby's going to tell a joke. Okay. Let's hear it. The delay in YouTube is such that you just have to type your full joke out. Don't wait for back and forth. All right, we're going to do this in 1 second. We need, for this game, you clearly need a bunch of little one-liners. I went to the zoo with my mother-in-law. Unfortunately, an accident occurred and she fell in the alligator pit. I rushed to the zookeeper and he said, "Calm down, sir. You wait here. I'll rescue the alligators." Okay. A little mother-in-law joke. All right, good enough. When we tell him that joke, he says, "What? You even make the jokes? I'll deal with you myself." So we skipped the combat with these 3 extra creatures. If we hadn't told that joke, we would have to fight a wraith, a dire wolf, and another dire wolf. So thankfully that joke got us out of that combat. But now we're supposed to fight Vjesht himself. If you didn't deal with Vigor, he'll join on his side. If you manage to get Vigor on your side, he'll now join combat on your side. So it feels like we need the card for Vigor. But where is Vigor? I wouldn't mind. There are some cool creatures here in the across the border, but I would kind of like to have Vigor on the record on our side. I'm not sure where it is though. It's not in special cards. I feel like there must be a card for it. I just don't know if I filed it away somewhere weird or what. I suppose it doesn't really matter because we're not going to actually do this. But let's see if we had this fight. Some people in the village claim Vjesht came here with migration. However, this is rather exaggerated since migration took place more than 500 years ago. People claimed that his great-grandfather was a great witch doctor and that his family has strong godly ties, like the roots of big tree. Some believe he was born by goddess Marana herself when she walked this earth, during the era when Perun exiled all the gods to live among people in human form and learn the sufferings of mortals. People are sure Vjesht lives in the woods and that during the full moon he rips out beating hearts from men on Mount Perun. The story also mentions he talks to gods and is married to Vila. People swear they saw wolves submissively sit down in front of him, tamed by a mere wave of his hand, and that he can make bears attack his enemies. Everyone agrees there's no one wiser and more powerful than Vjesht, and therefore one should never stand in his way. So no matter what, Vjesht always attacks first, and he's got some special stuff. Vjesht made a blood bond with his weapon, so after a successful hit, he deals for damage he deals to his opponent. He heals. Okay, so we would create an enemy of Vjesht. Power 18, so he's got health 18. Let's just set it up as if we were really going to do this. Health 18, hardness 15, so you have to get 15 or higher to hit. Attack of 3, damage 1, so he's only doing 1 per attack, but he's doing 3 attacks per turn. And then he could do a splash attack to everyone, after which they have -1 attack. That's very annoying. Or he can do this staff, which does +2 damage, +3 roll, and every time he hits, he heals. That's ridiculous. But we have on our side Vladislav, plus we have the Vigor guy. I don't know where those cards are, which is really a little bit off-putting to me, because I really wouldn't mind having those cards out. It doesn't matter, I suppose, because we're not really going to do this full combat. Seems like even with our full power and helpers, it would be very hard to kill this guy. Although I suppose we're dancing first. That does 4 damage to him. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're attacking twice. We're attacking actually 3 times because we're the comedian. If we use this, we can do 5 damage. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 once per round. -1 attack though, so we only have 2 attack. But the whip gives us +1 attack and +1 damage. So if we just ram this out with Vladislav helping us too, he attacks him twice and does damage 1. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that's a hit. Attacks twice. We attack 3 times. I don't really know how to read that, but 1, 2, 3. And then we'll let him attack 3 times for damage 1. So we'll drop our health down 1, 2, 3. And then everyone will strike him again. 1, 2. And we'll do 2, and he's dead. All right, I actually think we might have been able to kill this guy now that I think about it. Although he's healing, but it's much too painful to do. But we've got similar hardness to him. He'd hit us a little bit more. Maybe we'd lose a good chunk of our health, but I think we actually could kill him. But we're not going to go through the whole thing. After you defeat Vyesht, read the adequate ending on the next page that corresponds with actions you did or failed to do during a game. But he would heal when he hits. It's true. I just think we could have done it. So, here's our ending. Wounded Vyesht is laying near the altar, coughing out blood. You ignorant idiots, this is your end too. Without the knowledge of the old ones, you too will be extinct. In time, you will vanish like withered leaves under snow. You don't pay much attention to his words, choosing to focus on catching your breath and tending to your own wounds. The old man continues to cough and gargle. You don't give a shit. You wait for the adrenaline tide to abate so you can finally stop shivering. Suddenly, Vyesht moans loudly. Entire Mount Perun shivers, and another shot of adrenaline explodes in your veins, preparing you for God knows what kind of conflict. Then, the earth calms down, and the evergreen forest relaxes as if it was holding its breath before. Vyesht's body collapses. Up the mountain, wolves begin their eerie howling. The moon continues its trajectory toward the west as if nothing had happened. What do our lives mean to sun and moon, you think to yourself? You pack your weapons, finish dressing your wounds, and walk to the forest's edge, intent on making a stretcher from brushwood so you can tow Vyesht's body to the city. However, when you come back to the altar, his body is gone. Your mind is blank for a second. You gaze at the dark Mount Bedham in the distance, partially shielding a view of the fat, shiny Milky Way, and then you whisper, Arcadia Tenebra, such a beauty and such a colossal shitstorm. You found a stone from spring. You brush human internal organs off the altar. Then you press the stone from spring into the... I don't think we get to read this. This would be only if we end in a certain way. And this is ending in a certain way. And this is ending in a certain way. These didn't trigger for us. So we don't get to read those paragraphs. That was our ending. All right, well, if you're just watching this and you didn't watch our first playthrough, you might be wondering, why have we handled this combat in this way instead of actually playing the combat out? And that's just because the combat is of absolutely no interest to me in this game. It's just rolling dice and making very few choices. So we just used our gut to do the combat. We're going to talk about this experience in a bit. I think maybe you can see there are a couple more little stories, but the basic endings of these games are the same no matter how you do it. We do have a couple extra ending here, a way to end it with this stone from the spring. It looks like maybe you don't have to fight him if you find this ending. I'm not sure. And then bad things can happen to Tesla if you turn in the 3 clues to the police detective. And then we would have gotten this. It looks like these are the 3 ways, the 3 special clues. We did Eldon, who was the squirrel clues. If we had handed in the ritual clues, we would have read this. But notice the same ending. Go to the barracks, read success. Go to the barracks, read success. Go to the barracks, read success. So if we had handed in the 3 ritual clues, we read this paragraph, but then the game proceeds exactly as before. If we had find the 3 guardian clues, we would read this paragraph, but we would still do exactly the same thing. Meet that old guy. So very little changes, just the slightly different ending paragraphs. Okay, let us do our normal thing. We're going to take a 3-minute break, then we'll come back and talk about it. I'm curious what Jonathan thinks about the second playthrough and this experience, whether there's any interest to play any more of this, or whether we've basically seen what there is to see. 3-minute break, we'll come back and give our final thoughts. All right, we're back to give our final thoughts on our second playthrough of Arcadia Tenebra, a very unusual narrative board game slash role-playing game. It's easier to be critical of a mass-produced game that's made lots of money and say, well, I'm just one person who has problems with it. It's not as pleasant to be critical about a game that's clearly a lot of love went into and a lot of personal. I mean, the amount of effort to produce this game, to write this game with all of these cards and writing had to be very high. So it's very hard to be critical. But I do take seriously. There are very few things I take seriously about this channel, but I do take seriously the idea that there's no point in doing this if we're not going to give real criticism. So let me try to frame it this way before I check in with the chat. You can watch our first playthrough for more of a spoiler-free stuff. There are people who are going to play this and not like the writing and feel like it's putting them off, maybe language translation and rules could have been clearer, and the weird mix of adult comedy, explicit sexual stuff. There are going to be people who don't like that. And there are going to be people who maybe don't like the art. I think all of that would go into the bucket of things that I think are completely fine about this game. There is a vision here, and it is a consistent vision in terms of the art style and the writing and the story and where it takes itself seriously and where it doesn't. And from my standpoint, that's a very subjective thing, and I'm completely on board with it. I have no complaints. I'm not going to make a single complaint about any of that. I think the art style is fine. I think the philosophical approach to the writing is all fine. No, so I'm not going to give any problems there. And I think you could also include that in the whole story, the whole trajectory of the story of the serial killer and finding clues and then having this final encounter with the boss and the boss's henchmen. I would even go so far as to say that's pretty well done. Like, I like that as a little story. As a scenario story, I think that's great. And the different little stories and missions in each little area, all great. The little story in our first playthrough, we had an encounter with the religious church story. And here we had a little story of the opium den in this town. And a couple things we didn't do in the brothel and Tesla. I think all of those little stories are great. But there are two really big problems in terms of this being a game. And that is, first of all, this is structured as a replayable game with tons of these cards you could get that could give you items and tons of different encounters you could have with creatures. But the story has very little variety in it. And I just don't see a world where you want to play this same story over and over again. This feels much more like a single scenario in a campaign where you don't want to play the scenario again. And that I can imagine a world in which, like, Seventh Citadel, Seventh Continent, where, this is basically what a scenario in Seventh Citadel is like. A story that spans multiple days and then comes to an end, and you never want to have to do it again. So that's the first problem. The second problem is that the entire nature of this as a board game, what makes a game is supposed to be interesting decisions. And I really don't think there are interesting decisions here. If you skip the combat, then at least everything is quick. You're just rolling the die and passing the test. But the combat is wildly disproportionately fiddly and unpleasant, and it's all random. In fact, it's hard to even imagine, it's hard to even come up with a game in the last 20 years that has had so little agency. Like, it's very common, at least. I mean, I am on the far end of the spectrum of not enjoying the fiddly multiple round combat stuff. But even in the worst of these games, you've got choices. Like, you've got 3 different kinds of attacks you can perform. And they're at least a little bit interesting in terms of their trade-offs. And that's just not present here. There are just no decisions to be made. And you're supposed to go through round after round after round after round of combat until you die or they die. It's a very uninteresting interaction. And then all the tests are like, do you want to do an intelligence combat a test or a charisma test? And there'd be no decision to make. You just look down there and say, what's higher? And then you roll that die. Oh, it's very weird. It's hard to call this a game, really. It's more like a weird, interesting narrative experience that I can see doing once or twice. I also think that final battles are really tough, and it feels like you could play this whole game for 2 hours and then just keep getting killed and killed at the end and then have to do the whole thing again as if you're solving a mystery again. Weird. Okay, let's read a little bit. Combat seems to just pad out the playtime rather than actually being fun. I mean, there are people who don't mind having just dice rolling combats. Maybe that's part of what role-playing is about, but usually you try to make some interesting decisions. I do think this session fell a little flatter for me than the first. I guess it moved me more to Jesse's thought where maybe it did need bigger overall story variety. The whole element of telling jokes was fun. The sequence where we found Edison outside Tesla's home was good. Getting the beauty-enhancing Tesla piercing. The first session seemed to have more drugs and nudity than this one. Is the game going for shock factor? I mean, I think the image of our character on the board is quite provocative. The backstory for the dancer crossed the line into bad taste for me, so I'd recommend not reading it personally if you want to play the dancer. Perhaps cultural differences. The game was originally Croatian. I wonder how one would resolve the comedian if playing solo. Just judge your own joke. Yes, I guess so. Some of the side quests seem longer, more involved than others, which was a little disappointing. I was hoping they would all have a good length. There seems to be no way to fully resolve the ending without combat. What are we doing tomorrow? I'm not sure. No, we're not going to live stream tomorrow. We did 2 today. Tomorrow I'm taking off. Nino says, you're not enjoying this that much. Yeah, I do think like there are lessons to be learned. And one of the lessons is it's very hard to have to mix narrative and combat in a way that the combat is interesting enough to warrant such an intrusion into hearing a story. And I think if you're going to stick combat into your narrative games, it has to happen quickly, and maybe ideally some interesting it either has to be interesting enough that the combat can be the heart of the game and interesting enough decisions, or it should be very quick. And I also think you just cannot make a game that is so heavy on telling a narrative linear story and expect people to keep replaying it and hearing the same story over and over again. That just does not make a replayable board game. It makes a scenario in a campaign game. All right, well, Arcadia Tenebra, there you have it. One group's view. Sometimes you play a game like this and it feels like it was created in isolation. And that maybe if the designers feel like they've got another game in them, it would be useful to study a little bit more some other dungeon crawlers, campaign games like Seven Citadel or some of the other campaign games. On the other hand, I am not a role player. I do not play role-playing games, so maybe I'm the wrong person to be critiquing this one. If I had to rate it, I don't know, maybe a 6 for its interest factor, but I really wouldn't recommend it. Do, though, before you get turned off this game completely, check out the review by the Undead Viking, who was very positive about it. Maybe in a larger group of real role players, they would act out stuff in a more interesting way. And you might check out the Dungeon Dives review, which was more on the negative mixed side, but maybe he has a more forgiving and positive take on it. For me, I think we're done with this game. So we are going to have to decide what to play next. Jonathan, you think you agree we are done with Arcadia Tenebra? Combat is always the most boring part of role-playing, in my opinion. Yeah, I would agree with you. We have played a bunch of games, though, where combat was interesting enough. We've just finished playing 90 hours of Etherfields, which had some very interesting combat decisions. And Seven Citadel has some slightly less interesting, but much quicker combat decisions. Fire Chronicles had some reasonable combat, so it can be done, but the decisions have to be a little more interesting. No need to rush back to it. I don't think it's a matter of rushing back to it. I think this is goodbye for Arcadia Tenebra for us. I don't think there's any going back to it, rushed or not rushed. But it was interesting. I was happy to try it. There are some interesting writing elements to this. Thank you for joining me. What's next for us? I'm not sure. We'll have to talk about it. Actually, I do know one thing that's next for us. We will be playing some New York Noir cases, and we do have this Abyss Echo, big giant horror Cthulhu type game, mystery game, but we have to decide if we're playing that in October or sooner. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.